To ensure privacy, the story still retains the original plot, but the character names have been changed. Hope you understand. Client: I greet you, Master, with Sister Linda to read my fortune. It is you helping this time. Forget him. He isn't coming back to me. I'm suffering. I'm tormented. Now, Master, do whatever it takes to make my husband return. However much it costs, I will bear it. Okay, now I will deposit a little token of my sincerity to send you first. Fortune teller Master: Stop, I beg you. Okay, but Sister Linda introduced you. Did she tell you not to bring Erica nuts? Where are your Erica nuts? Alright then. Okay, today I will be flexible. I'll examine your aura. I'll examine your glabella for you. Okay, I just learned a new spell. Right? Alright, your case is severe. If you want your husband to pack his pants and come back to you, then 100 million. Okay, 100 million, and I'll perform the ritual for you. Then in a few days, go to the ceremony with me. I'm checking compatibility. If we match, then I'll finalize the cooperation. Okay, just 100 million. Your husband will automatically pack his pants and come back. Rest assured. Client: Oh, I thank you so much, Master. You are like the light illuminating the path, like the vast ocean, like a chicken with new hair. I mean like a clucking chicken. I am truly so grateful to you. Hope you help my husband and me so that my husband and I can return and love each other. Scene change. Main narration: MC Duke. The video just now was for entertainment purposes only. But anyone who loves Duke, please give me a heart so Duke will make more other entertainment videos. Okay, retribution of drinking boiling copper water, being eaten by iron birds and iron dogs. And now, let us continue with the journey of the mission of saving souls. Our main character today is a female spirit named Patricia, who had been wandering in the mortal world for 6 months and 25 days when she was pointed out by the immortal elder, and Sister Helen's group came to save and enlighten her, to bring the spirit back to the temple. During the process of enlightenment, the spirit shared the story of her life, and now let us go find out together. When she was alive, this Miss Patricia was orphaned of both father and mother since she was very small. Therefore, for a long period of time, she had to struggle on her own. Reaching middle age, this Miss Patricia had not established a family. She lived alone and solitary, and occasionally she would go into the temple to do charity labor, folks, sometimes wiping and cleaning, sometimes sweeping the temple yard, sometimes clearing trees and grass. Therefore, the time this Miss Patricia spent at the temple became more and more frequent. Being exposed to scriptures, this Miss Patricia read very fast and memorized them quickly, folks, because this Miss Patricia was very agile and resourceful. And not only that, she was also good at reading scriptures. So the monks were also very partial to her. Every time the monks accepted a request to chant requiem scriptures for families, they would let this Miss Patricia go along. Initially, this Miss Patricia reading these requiem scriptures, doing these things, did not have any benefit at all, folks. However, money had a terrible magic power. After a long time of dedicatedly going to read requiems for a number of families together with the monks, at this time the reputation of this Miss Patricia was also quite famous, already, folks. Besides accompanying the monks to pray for the dead and assist in chanting for families, this Miss Patricia was also assigned a task, which was to receive the families who sent cremated remained ashes or sent spirits to the temple. This Miss Patricia would manage the finances, then report back to the monks. Every time the monks finished chanting, finished the requiem, finished the ceremony, the homeowner would give gifts to the monks, and this gift would be managed by Miss Patricia, and after that, she would summarize and notify the monks. 2 to 3 million. She said it was 500,000. 1 million. She said it was 200,000. Therefore, this woman embezzled the money that people gifted to the monks. The act of embezzling the most money by this Miss Patricia was not going to pray for the dead or chant scriptures, folks, but it was exactly the act of families sending remains up to the temple or sending spirits up to the temple. This woman would take a price of about 20 to 30 million, depending on the face of that family. Remember, the more well-off the family, the more money this woman took. Therefore, every time she notified the monks, this woman would say that they sent 2 million, 3 million for the monks to perform the ceremony, and that large sum of money, this woman would embezzle it all. Remember, being an agile person who understood matters and knew the work. Therefore, the monks trusted this Miss Patricia extremely and had no suspicions at all. Everyone. Not only that, many times this Miss Patricia received money from families. Remember, people sent spirits to the temple. This woman received the money and promised she would do it and pray for them. However, this Miss Patricia, after receiving the money, did not do it, folks. And the number of victims of this woman was also quite large. Some time later, this Miss Patricia became known by very many people, and she also accepted requests to chant scriptures outside and pray for the dead outside as well. Throughout about 12 years of doing this work, she also made many more friends related to the chanting profession. Among those friends, this Miss Patricia had a sworn sister, and this sworn sister, Duke will call her Sister Brenda. This Sister Brenda had a husband who was extremely dashing and gallant. Therefore, when in contact, this Miss Patricia fell for this guy. Remember, Sister Brenda's husband, I will call him Charlie. Charlie and this Miss Patricia started having an ambiguous relationship because Miss Patricia had an extremely large amount of money after those times of embezzling from that money for chanting and requiems. Everyone. One side had health and loved money. One side then had money but loved handsome men. Therefore, these two people had an ambiguous, illicit relationship with each other. This guy Charlie, during the time of having a relationship with Miss Patricia, knew extremely well how to win her favor. Folks, remember, he swore to the mountains and promised the sea. He promised that he swore on his life and death to love this woman. You are the most wonderful thing in my life. When flirting with this Miss Patricia, Charlie continuously badmouthed the sworn wife of Miss Patricia, which was Sister Brenda. Miss Patricia at this time was too infatuated already, folks. Infatuated. At this time, she could not master her reason and soul anymore. At this time, she fell into the embrace of love of this Charlie. Having money, gave to Charlie. Buying land, gave to Charlie. All assets, gave to Charlie. Every time Charlie was gifted a present by Miss Patricia, this guy would continue to flatter Miss Patricia, making her stay up in the sky forever, unable to come down. remember, because she was too blissful, because her lover was truly wonderful. These two people had relations and an affair with each other throughout a long period of time until one day there was a client over in Canada. Their mother had just passed away. Therefore, knowing the reputation of this Miss Patricia, they invited Miss Patricia back to chant scriptures and pray for their mother. All expenses for travel, eating and drinking, hotels, lodging. This lady in Canada would cover it all so that Miss Patricia could get to the house and chant scriptures and pray for her mother. The amount of money that this client in Canada promised to pay Miss Patricia was 25 million dong. Remember, folks, when hearing that, Miss Patricia was extremely joyful, both happy and excited. This Miss Patricia invited 3 more of her friends to come to this client's house to chant scriptures and pray. After completing the chanting and praying job, the homeowner even gifted extra money to those friends of Miss Patricia as well. Therefore, these people were extremely joyful and excited. On the road, when the car was carrying these four ladies back, Miss Patricia took out her phone to call her lover to make a date to meet tonight. While talking like that, the car suddenly plunged down the mountain pass slope, and at this moment, all 4 people lost their lives, folks. Even the driver, too. Remember, everyone lost their lives. Everything was smashed to bits. When she was lost, dead, the soul left the physical body. Then this Miss Patricia kept fussing around in that area, remember, to find what? Do you know? To find 25 million dong and the amount of gold on her person. Remember, when she died, she was wearing a lot of gold as well as carrying money. While busy searching, suddenly a very strong wind blew in, and this woman fainted, remember. When she woke up, this woman was already in the underworld without knowing one. Folks, when judged for crimes, this woman committed quite a lot of crimes indeed, folks. The first crime was that she embezzled money, remember, deceived the monks, received money from people but did not fulfill the responsibility properly. Adultery too. Folks, truly too many crimes. Miss Patricia at this time continuously argued, "I have no sin, I have no sin. When alive, I did many good deeds. I went to the temple to do charity labor. I chanted scriptures and prayed for people." At that time, the king of hell, Yama, had the demon escorts lead this woman to look into the karma mirror. When looking into the karma mirror, this Miss Patricia could not argue anything anymore. Folks, the king of hell at this time said, "This is the underworld, merit is merit, and sin is sin." After opening the book to see the amount of money this woman had embezzled, it was about more than 3 billion dong, folks. First, this Miss Patricia was led by demon escorts to a place. Here the space was truly dark and dim. Everything was damp, remember, full of rooms made of dark, blind wood. Looking around and seeing some people sitting and looking at something, this Miss Patricia then knew that she was suffering the punishment, which was to read scriptures to make up for it. Folks, when alive, this Miss Patricia took people's money, did not complete her responsibility, now lacking however many sentences and words, lacking however many scriptures. This woman had to chant fully until dawn, remember. Chant enough, then she would be allowed to go to the next prison gates. In this prison gate, every time this Miss Patricia nodded off, could not read the words, then she would be hit on the head by a wooden hammer. remember, and it hit very painfully, folks, so that this woman would continue the journey for herself to read scriptures to make up for it. The light was tiny like a firefly only, and this woman had to strain her eyes to look at each word one by one. Truly, it was too miserable. Reading scriptures like that was still simple, remember. This Miss Patricia had to sit on an iron spiked table to read scriptures. Folks, painful beyond measure. When sitting on that iron spiked table, there was a demon escort still guarding right next to her. Whenever she nodded off, then it would take the hammer and hit her on the head. Bong. At this time, Miss Patricia continued to read scriptures to make up for it. Remember, whenever finished, then she could get out. When Miss Patricia was allowed out of this room, the demon escort led her down to a prison gate. Before entering the prison gate, this woman had not yet had time to orient herself on which prison gate this was when she was used by a demon escort with a sharp stick. It pierced through, remember, from here out to the back indeed, folks, making this woman unable to struggle in time, unable to scream in time. When it stabbed like that, this woman's tongue hung out, folks, hung out long. Then at this time the demon escort did what? Squeezed her mouth like this, poured boiling copper into the mouth for this woman to drink. Remember, drinking enough boiling copper water, belly big as a drum. Then at this time this woman's belly exploded. When it exploded like that, the demon escort poured the soul-restoring water on this woman, and she returned to the form as in the beginning and continued the punishment like that. This woman was in this prison gate for a very long time too. Remember, after that, when having finished suffering this punishment, she continued to be transferred to another prison gate because of the crime of adultery. For the crime of adultery, the basic and simplest punishment was being naked and hugging a hot copper pillar, remember, so that the flesh and skin would just sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. When hugging the copper pillar, it would what? Keep sliding down. Then at this time the demon escort would beat her to make her climb up, remember. And every time there was friction like that, then what? Then the flesh and skin would just stick all onto the copper pillar like that. Painful and miserable. No words can describe it. Next, this Miss Patricia had to lie on a hot iron table, folks. After lying down, the demon escorts would separate this woman into many pieces. They're separated extremely horribly, remember. When the demon escorts were separating her into different pieces, then from somewhere iron dogs, iron snakes, iron birds rushed in to eat this woman's flesh. Folks, truly too disgusting. After a long time of enduring down in hell, finally this Miss Patricia also finished enduring, remember, and this woman was done with her punishments before going up to the mortal world to suffer the retribution, wandering hungry and thirsty due to having once broken the happiness of another person's family. This Miss Patricia was told that if she reincarnated, she would reincarnate as a lonely, unfortunate, and impoverished person. Therefore, this Miss Patricia went up to the mortal world for 6 months and 25 days. Then very luckily she was pointed out by the immortal elder, and Sister Helen's group came to enlighten and take this spirit of Miss Patricia back to the temple because of the very merit when this woman was alive, sweeping the temple, wiping statues, as well as going to chant scriptures and pray. This woman had shown a karmic connection with the Buddhist teachings. Therefore, when lost dead, Wandering in the mortal world, this woman met Sister Helen's group who enlightened her and go back to the temple to practice and study. Through this story, if you believe, then contemplate. If you don't believe, then watch for entertainment. And truly, this is a lesson for those of us who are doing jobs related to this. Remember, when everyone has promised, everyone has received money from others, then everyone should fulfill one's own responsibility properly, regardless of whether we are monastics or not monastics. When everyone has promised, has received money, then we are forced to have responsibility. That is a basic thing. Never be subjective. Never be vague to let it pass, and we don't do it. That is an extremely dangerous thing. Finally, wishing everyone to always be diligent in practice.